Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. It's sad that bosses want to keep you going with busy work that doesn't benefit anyone. As soon as employees find this out, then they go out of their way to look busy with complete bullcrap. Guess that's what the boss wants, though, to be busy instead of productive. More details in our first story. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. It doesn't look like you have enough to do. Got my first career job at a city government, keeping tabs on its real estate and legal documents relating to said real estate. I'm wet behind the ears, and this is my first 40-hour per week job, and I'm just out of college. This was a time when multitasking was a huge buzzword in business, and it seems every single job I applied for required a good multitasker. But I thought that was bullcrap. I worked best when only working on one task at a time and managing my workload via a daily time allotment schedule. That is, I'd schedule my work in 15-minute lumps when I got in the morning and work on those tasks. That way I never missed a deadline or had a project fall between the cracks. I also loved to keep my desk clean. All tasks in my physical inbox were sorted and prioritized. The paperwork was then filed and the task scheduled for later that day or later in the week, depending on how urgent it was. Consequently, my desk was always empty, save one folder, and a few maps related to the folder. Once one task was done, that folder and its maps were filed, a new folder and maps were retrieved. One afternoon, my direct boss walks in, looks at my desk with one folder and two maps, looks at my clean top filing cabinets, looks at my empty inbox, physical one you actually put paper/folders in, grunts, walks out. 20 minutes later, my boss stomps back into my office, drops 18 inches of folders and papers onto my inbox, states proudly and firmly, "It doesn't look like you have enough to do. So here," smiles maliciously and walks back to his cluttered office. It was busy work. 3 weeks of crappy, busy paperwork. But did I ever learn my lesson? 1 week after the dump, I realized it was the appearance of working that mattered, so I started saving old files, old maps, and old legal documents. I rebound up papers that normally would be tossed into legitimate-looking folders. 3 weeks later, I had a desk full of no less than 10 stacks of folders, each varying in height from 2 to 10 inches. I had a whole area of my desk covered in rolls and rolls of old maps that I never used, placed in such a way that if you messed with them, there was a good chance half the stack would fall on the floor. Every day, right after scheduling my real work, I would shuffle the fake folders and paper around my desk and work area. My inbox always had papers and folders in it. Its depth would vary daily, and I kept track of where the real bottom was. Months later, I had folders stacked to the top of the filing cabinets, folders stacked on the floor, 18 of those stupid white boxes with files in them in various locations around my work area. My office looked utterly cluttered. But in all that chaos, I always kept one area of my desk clean, the spot where the real work happened. 2 months after the dump, my boss peeked into my office, the door bumping into a stack of 3 full white boxes placed behind it. He looked around, paused, and then asked, "What are you working on?" I rattled off 3 of the highest priority properties on my schedule and the tasks for each. "All right, I'll give this to someone else then," and walked on down the hall. I'd already completed those tasks. And our second story. I quit my horrible job, but didn't bother to tell anyone. Last year, I worked drive-thru for a popular fast food chain. The job was kind of crap by itself, but the manager, guys, she was crap. We'll call her Deb, because that was her real effing name. Yelling at employees constantly, cutting hours out of spite, not honoring time off requests, the whole 9 yards. She was just a nasty person. I can't honestly bring to mind any remotely positive interaction I had with her. Just God. I needed the money, and I didn't invest myself too much in my job. I just did my thing and left. Thus, I managed to tolerate Deb for a while, but after a particularly awful string of bullcrap, I went looking for another job. I found one. Better pay, better hours. I wrote up a 2-week notice like a good employee and was planning on handing it in my next shift until I found out that Deb had essentially forced my favorite coworker to quit. He wanted Saturday off to attend his grandmother's funeral. Deb said absolutely not. After trying to negotiate and failing, he informed Deb that he no longer worked for the franchise. I immediately knew what I was going to do. I threw my notice in the trash. For those of you that have never worked fast food, corporate is always breathing down your neck. If the customer doesn't get their food within 90 seconds of ordering, corporate knows about it immediately thanks to the miracle of technology. They have their eyes on all kinds of crap: production times, employee hours, UHC tray times, order accuracy. I mean, all kinds of crap. You can't even toss out a chicken nugget that hit the floor without marking it down. There are plenty of ways to get around this stuff: resetting UHC tray timers, hitting served before you actually push the burgers out the window. And if you didn't find ways to get around it, your managers will hate you. I was going to F that crap up pretty hardcore. The revenge. I went in for my final shift, clocked in 10 minutes early, corporate alarm number 1, and got promptly yelled at by Deb. She turned and began walking away. I waited until she was reasonably outside of earshot and quietly said, "I quit." The grill guy heard me. No one else did. My butt was covered. So I go to man booth 2. The dinner rush is starting to pick up. I'm getting a line. Problem is, I don't work there anymore. Customers are asking me what the hell's going on, and I basically say, "I'm so sorry, but I just got let go. I'm waiting for clearance to leave." Orders are piling up beside me, but the assistant manager doesn't seem to notice, as he had a tendency to get absorbed in his work. Cars are starting to pile up. The line extends past the order menu and starts working its way around the parking lot. The lady at my window has been waiting for her order for a few minutes now. If only there was an actual employee manning the window, the order screen has gone mysteriously blank. Why, it's as if cars can't make it to the screen to order, which of course they can't because I'm not handing out any effing food. No one has noticed the empty screen because everyone's busy preparing for the next run, and the dudes working the sandwich table were not exactly Ivy League material. Again, corporate keeps an eye on everything, and nothing twists their boobies worse than a long wait time. And when one order gets held up in drive-thru, there's this horrifying domino effect, and a lot more orders get held up as well. It takes 7 minutes for the assistant manager to realize that something weird was going on. Not the assistant manager handing me the food, but the one working on salads. Who knows how long I could have stood there if she didn't notice? What clued her in? Was it the crap-eating grin on my face that was growing larger every moment? I'll probably never know the answer, but people started yelling, and it took no time at all for Deb to be right in my face. She asked what the hell I was doing. I informed her that I had quit. She didn't seem to comprehend what I had said the first time and started complaining, so I informed her, once again, that I quit. There was a pause, and I added that this customer had been waiting 7 minutes for her order, so Deb should probably cover the window. I've never seen someone's face change that many colors so quickly. She started flipping out. Why didn't I tell someone? I did. The grill guy heard me. I was just covering this register so that no one could dip into the till. It was a completely BS excuse, and she knew it. I was told to get the hillbilly F out of my store, her actual words. I went to the crew room to take off my uniform, and she screamed, "Now!" Then she screamed again, something incomprehensible that was probably just a scream of rage. Everyone had gone dead quiet, even the 2 girls on front cash that always chatted the night away. It was surreal. Just straight up walking out of the store with my uniform on. I went out the side door by the bathrooms. Going from that hot kitchen to the crisp autumn air seemed to underscore the extreme relief I felt walking away from that job and that boss. I cannot quite explain the sense of finality I felt driving out of the parking lot and knowing that I never had to come back. The aftermath. I had friends on the inside, so of course I got all the juicy details on how badly I screwed the place. Corporate was so furious that they sent a special probe team to look into things. I was expecting some kind of letter in the mail, but it never came. Apparently the grill guy heard me quit, and my absolutely BS excuse about guarding the register were good enough. The corporate folks conducted individual interviews with every employee that was on that shift to figure out what happened. It didn't take long for them to find out that everyone hated Deb and that Deb hated everyone back. She was transferred to another store in the franchise and fired 3 months later. For the record, no coworkers were harmed in this little stunt. Everyone there hated the place and didn't really care of the paycheck. The grill guy thought it was hilarious. I never did turn in my uniform. And our last story. Forget everything about this place? Okay. Many years ago, I worked for a little company. CEO was a miser of the first order. We needed image hosting for a large client account, and CEO was unwilling to pay for maybe $2 to $3K in annual image hosting fees at the time, even though the company made millions off the deal. Me being an enterprising individual, I figured out a way to host the images on Flickr. I saved the login information in a physical notebook and kept informing them this is a house of cards and we really need to switch to a professional service. Several months later, I was promoted and asked for a raise to go with my promotion. CEO said no. All promotions and raises required CEO sign-off. I tried negotiating, but CEO said no, and to leave if I didn't like it. So I left. CEO told me to forget everything related to the job here, and he'd sue me if I did anything with the client's accounts afterwards, i.e. sabotage or steal clients. I told him I'm leaving all my knowledge behind in the notebook in my final email to him, my manager, and BCC'd my personal email. In this email, a full inventory of what I left behind, invoices, contracts, etc., including this entry. Personal notebook, account notes and reference material, including image hosting logins for blank accounts, keep for reference. Recently, I received a professional networking site message from CEO telling me to help them with my old accounts or he'll sue me. Apparently, Flickr changed their terms of service and the images were deleted. In over 10 years, nobody updated any documentation or the image hosting. Nobody bothered checking the email account either. That was used to log into the Flickr account. I told him that I cannot help. Per his request, I forgot everything I knew about his company, and anything I knew was in that notebook I left him over 10 years ago. Seriously though, I don't remember what I had for breakfast. Technical details from that long ago? I just laugh. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.